let's just say Brock Purdy has an average day for kind of a 49er quarterback. Let's say he's 20 for 27, 20 for 28, 225 yards, 1 or 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Like, it's tough to envision the Niners losing a game like that with those numbers, even though they're relatively pedestrian. So the only team I think that can beat the 49ers if Purdy is solid is Baltimore. That's the only team.
The teams that I think could do it are in the AFC. Which,
yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Cleveland obviously beat him this year. But, no, I think the caller's spot on. Like, your level of confidence in the Niners' ability to win the Super Bowl is intertwined with your confidence in Brock Purdy. And I think a lot of people have the right to feel extremely confident in Brock Purdy because while he's had some duds over the course of the 16 games in which he's started, he's been magnificent. He's been really, really good. But again, if you're talking about Brock Purdy winning a Super Bowl, these are the names in which he'd be included with. Patrick Mahomes, Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady. Is he one of those guys? Does he have to be one of those guys in order for the Niners to win the Super Bowl? The year that Brady won his first, it wasn't necessarily Brady's team. He was a good quarterback, but he was kind of a game manager. It's one of the reasons people were reluctant to come around on him. But can Brock Purdy enter that group as a quarterback 24 years or younger and win a Super Bowl? That is why I do think that he gives the Niners a great chance, but is also the reason why I would doubt the Niners, is because quarterbacks at that age or at that level of experience typically don't win Super Bowls, no matter how good your team is.
That's fair. That's fair. But I also feel like I've seen Purdy play now for a year and a half, and it's pretty good. Like, he's pretty good. And
he's damn good.
To me, he's good. He's good enough that they can definitely win a Super Bowl considering the personnel around him. I was listening to Brian Baldinger on the morning show today, and don't take this the wrong way, but he was talking about what I'm going to play. You've got to be kidding me about this. This is
easy on Baldy.
It's not on Baldy. Here's what I want. Just listen for a second.
Yeah.
Just listen.
Yeah.
I always would be worried. Honestly, if you're not worrying, you're not working. You know, the kid in Dallas hasn't missed a field goal all year. Justin Tucker doesn't miss field goals. So if you miss a kick and an extra point, you're worried. But there's nothing you can really do about it. You have to, if that something like that happens, you have to overcome it. But if it's to win a game and you miss, like, you won't be able to live with yourself. I'd be worried. I just would, because sometimes these kickers go sideways quick.
Okay. There's no reason to worry about Moody. Zero. End of story. And I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because this decision, this is not new. When did they draft Moody?
The third round
of
last summer.
Exactly. Give me the date of the draft.
I don't know.
Give me the month.
June.
Okay, June. In June of 2023.
April
of 2023.
Thank you, John.
We should have been as worried then as we are now. Like, it's the same. Like, you drafted a kicker with the third round.
They traded up to draft the kicker.
Exactly. So the minute you drafted a kicker and said, this guy's going to be our kicker, we're going, like, at that point, I could have said, well, we'll see what happens in the playoffs. Like, you have to go through this process. There's no reason to worry about Moody.
You just explained why there is every reason to worry about Moody.
No, the point is he's got to go through. There's nothing you can do. And my point is, why are you more worried about Moody now than you were when they drafted a kicker in April? when they drafted a kicker, at that point, you had every right to say, oh, boy, we're going to go with a rookie kicker the same year we're trying to win a Super Bowl. That means we're going to be relying on a rookie kicker in the postseason. Like, we knew all this 7 months ago.
Yeah, and I think it's why it raised eyebrows.
And he had a good year.
Well, he also, all right, he didn't have to be good this year in the regular season.
Right, well, he wouldn't, if he wasn't good, he would have not gotten to this point. Right?
No, but if he was good, the Niners would have one more win. Because he would have hit a game winner against Cleveland.
Okay. So?
That's a reason to be worried. What if the game comes down to
he missed one game winner this year, we're worried?
We have it. Okay,
he missed one game.
It's more about the larger point with the Niners.
The 49ers have no more kicking worries than any other team in the league.
Yes, they do.
Why?
Who do you have more trust in, Jake Moody or Justin Tucker?
Well, we'll see what happens this playoffs.
Oh, my. Who do you have more confidence in?
My point is that we knew before the season ever started that we were going to have a rookie kicker when the playoffs started.
They also moved off a guy that never missed ever in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so why wasn't everybody? Why wasn't everybody worried about this all season for the last year?
I think they quietly have been.
They should have been if they weren't. Because also rookie kickers, or not rookie kickers, but kickers that are taken in the third round or earlier have a very low success rate of working out. Like, that's why it was so strange that the Niners went and got this guy. I'm just saying, why
did we wait a year to worry about this?
All I'm saying is...
Hey, Draymond, seriously, we're going to get to you. We're going to get to you, okay? We're going to get to you.
All I'm saying, Steiny, is the year after Jake Moody left, Michigan won a national championship.
Well, if you're telling me...
That's bad.
If you're telling me that Moody has a history of missing big kicks... Then why was he drafted in the third round?
I don't know. Because he had a huge leg, and he could hit 50-plus yard field goals with alleged regularity, which is something that Robbie Gould could not do. Beyond 50, he was not great, but in the postseason, he was literally perfect. Had not missed a kick. Also, the Niners, and this is something, we talked about this a while ago. Okay, so the Niners... We're talking about how Robbie Gould might be too expensive. I mean, he'd been weighing on retirement, but you wanted to kind of redistribute that cap space elsewhere. You get cheaper at the kicker position. You get a couple extra $1 million and bringing this guy, bringing that guy, yada yada. Okay, well, you apparently freed up $40 million in cap space by restructuring George Kittle and I think another big boy. So why couldn't you afford Robbie Gould? In fact, I think he's still available. The Niners. The reason why they will lose in the postseason won't be on the kicker. But that doesn't mean if it comes down to the wire that people shouldn't be worried about a rookie kicker in his first postseason.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is you can be worried, but this problem is not like this issue of our kicker, of a rookie kicker going into the postseason has been an issue. It's been on the table all year, and now I feel like, well, now we're going to talk about the fact that Moody's a rookie that's kicking into in the postseason. It's like, well, no kidding. We knew this. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't be worried about it. I'm just saying, well, we knew this was going to be a challenge. He was going to have to overcome. They were going to have to overcome because they made a decision before they ever played any game that they were going to trust the rookie kicker.
If the Niners played the game that we have seen all year or the majority of the season, it shouldn't come down to a kick. That's the rat on the table.
Sure.
Best control.
I would agree with that. Moody's fine. Are you worried about Moody?
I don't want a fine kicker taking a game winner.
I do.
Why?
Because it's fun. Game-winning field goals are fun.
No, they're not.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is Moody the biggest concern you have going into the postseason?
No.
What is?
Their second-year quarterback.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, because if Brock Purdy plays well, the Niners should win. And if Brock Purdy doesn't play well, the Niners have lost.
You know what's interesting? The way I kind of look at it is if the 49ers play well around Brock Purdy, he's going to be good. If they don't play well around Brock Purdy, then he may struggle. I I kid you not when I say if I'd be worried about the Niners, like honest to God, Brock Purdy, I'm not worried about Brock Purdy at all in the postseason. I'm really not. I don't know why not. It's not just because, well, you're not a fan. No, I think Brock Purdy's, I'm not, like, he's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern would be, like, I'm worried much more, I'd be much more worried about the offensive line going into the postseason. I'm also concerned that it's possible that on a given day, our secondary could get picked apart. Purdy's not a big worry for me. I'm serious. Like, I think he's essentially, I know people, it's like when people say, well, if he plays like he did against the Ravens, they stunk against the Ravens. He was under duress all game against the Ravens. Like, if that's, like, I don't know many quarterbacks that could have won that game for the Niners by themselves.
He wasn't under duress when he threw a red zone interception to a safety that didn't move.
When?
The first pick he threw of the game.
Well, I mean, he had 4 picks, so he was terrible.
That's a problem.
No, I know. Of course it is. But was he, were they good or did he lose him that game, Purdy?
Yes.
You think so?
He turned the ball over 4 times.
And
they lost by 14 points.
Again, you and I look at things differently.
That's fair.
Like, I really do. Like, I look at a quarterback. No quarterback to me is going to succeed if they're under a lot of duress. And I feel like the games they lost, like there were reasons why Purdy wasn't good against Cleveland because he was running for his life, for lack of a better term. I think the Minnesota game, and what was the other game before that? The Minnesota game, the other loss.
Cincinnati.
Cincy. Like, he wasn't terrible against Minnesota.
He had a couple of turnovers, and you could make the case he was concussed when he made those turnovers. Look, I mean, all right, who do you think is the most important player on the 49ers?
I think one of the reasons that they are so freaking good is because they don't really have one guy. I get it. Some people say Purdy, other people say McCaffrey. So yeah, to me it's one of those two.
One of those two.
Sure.
Yeah. I would agree with that. And so I think those are the reasons why if those guys don't play well, I know McCaffrey's game is impacted, yes, by the offensive line, but also if Shanahan doesn't make him a priority as much as I think he is, then that could be a reason why the Niners could lose. If Purdy turns the ball over, I think that's the reason why the Niners could lose. I think those things, again, those are a perfect storm, but I don't think that's going to happen in the NFC. I don't think there's a team in the NFC that can make Brock Purdy look like he did on Christmas, that can make Christian McCaffrey look like not the best running back in the NFL. In the NFC, I think there are few challengers that can put the Niners off their script. And when they're on script, when they're on pace, they are the best team in football. And they've showed it time and time again this year. But again, you asked me what my biggest concern was, and it's going to be one of the 2 most important players not playing their best game, because I think that's, from what I've seen this year, that's how they've been beaten.
That is how they've been beaten. Like, there's no argument to that. Like, Purdy has played better in wins than he has in the loss. But the reason I do think the San Francisco 49ers are the best team in the NFC is because I think they have a good quarterback and then more weapons than everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Purdy's the kind of quarterback that if the 49ers execute, he's not going to be bad enough for them to get beat in the NFC. I don't see it. Like, he's not going to, I mean, I'll just be shocked if the 49ers get beat in their first playoff game. Purdy has 3 interceptions. I'd be very, very surprised.
No, I would too. I think last postseason should also make you feel better because we wondered how Brock Purdy would play when he hadn't been in the postseason before. And that was when there was a lot more questions about Purdy coming in because of his random start. And he threw 3 touchdowns and 300 yards against the Seahawks or something like that. I mean, he he calmed all concerns. And he didn't get a chance to finish the Philly game. I don't know whether he would have won or lost, but he might have ended up being awesome. So, look, all I'm saying is from what I've seen this year, Brock Purdy has been incredible, and the Niners have been incredible when they've been able to control and dictate the tempo of football games. Anytime that hasn't happened, I've seen them struggle, and that does worry me. It shouldn't worry, against an NFC team, I don't think there's anyone that can knock the Niners off course. But if there would be a team that could, I think it would probably be the Rams. I mean, look, we're talking about, and we're kind of nitpicking the Niners here, but I think it is how a lot of my friends feel, because the difference, like you brought up the Denver Nuggets or other past dominant teams that have looked like true ones. And the Niners do look like a one. But the one thing they haven't done is won a Super Bowl. And until they do that, I do think there's going to be doubt. I do think there's going to be concerns. And until they hoist the Lombardi trophy, people are still going to wonder if they can get it done.